it's a daily process right now, just trying to, keep getting better every day. As we all know, we have a lot of new pieces and just trying to, get a lot of things in early. And again, basically just hoping and trying to get guys to understand, how hard you have to go every possession. That's the biggest key still.
Coach, you guys get going Monday with the scrimmage, first one of the year. I guess, like you said, a lot of new pieces, but where do you think you are at in terms of preparation for the season and compared to where you'd like to be?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I don't think any coaches really like to be this time of year, but keep everything in perspective. I know I got a lot of new pieces. I think veteran guys would rather be playing somebody else and practicing hard and against themselves every day. But there's so many different things that we have to learn and teach yet. Even though because you're a veteran guy, don't mean you've done it in our system. So that's been our challenge a little bit. But, we made a lot of progress. I mean, that is very obvious. We will have a long way to go, a lot of things to keep getting better at, but we've made a lot of progress.
Coach, when you've got transfers, older transfers coming in, what are the biggest challenges for them in adapting to the program, as well as you adapting to what they've learned throughout their college career?
Well, again, I think the biggest thing with transfers is, and I'm speaking on our transfers, we have good people. So I think when you have good people, it's easier to get them to understand and coach them where you got to coach them. Sometimes there's good and bad. Sometimes you got old guys maybe picked up bad habits for longer periods of time. Sometimes young guys, it's easier to mold them a little bit. Older guys, at the same time, bring some experience and some confidence. And, for them, learning different terminology, maybe how you guard the ball screen, or how you want to, guard a certain thing in terminology. And maybe one guy's done it for 3 or 4 years, so it's adjustment for him. So there's goods and bads with older, experienced guys, but obviously you like the experience of the more mature guys.
But when you talk about the progress you guys have made, you can look at different things, but what's one thing when you look at it, you're just like, I love it, this is awesome, like it just sticks out to you so much and it, gets you excited for something here?
Well, I think we have a lot of depth and versatility. I think we can play a lot of different ways. I do think we shoot the ball better. The thing gets me excited every day is, there's one position that's a very valuable position that I know every day I'm going to get the same results. And that's at your point guard spot. And McKnight's going to give you the same results every day, every possession. Whether you're practicing at 8 o'clock or playing a game at 10 o'clock, I know he's the same. And that's always good when you can get that kind of feeling and kind of hear that snake. So that's good. As I said, I think we got depth. I think we got different ways to play. I think we haven't had a chance to do it a lot yet, but I think there's moments we can play big with the Butts and Jaymar together. We try to get through it a little bit in that scrimmage right there, but the biggest challenge has been us learning our guys a little bit still. What they're really capable of doing. How well does this guy pass the ball? You don't always see that in film. And maybe the last system didn't allow them to pass it. So now we're having to figure out, what some of them can do, just not physically, but mentally too. How much can they handle the change in defenses? Can you change defenses for this guy in a game? So those are all things we're learning daily.
Coach, going back to the transfers, you guys have a lot of return guys, a lot of new guys. How is the chemistry with them? Have they started to gel with each other, or is that something that they need to improve?
Well, I think only time will cure some of that. I mean, the more we play, the more each other learns each other, some of their strengths and weaknesses, just not as players, as coaches. So that's going to be when you have a new bunch of guys like we do, that's going to be a learning process every day and every game. only time will continue to help that. But I come back and say one thing, we have good people. When you have good people, all those things mash a little bit easier.
Rick, wanted to ask you about Jaymar. Just take me through like the recruitment process with him, and what have you seen from him just getting ready this year? I know you talked about putting on some weight, and just take me through what you've seen from him so far.
Well, first off, if there's ever a poster child of somebody losing weight and keeping that weight off, it needs to be you. I don't know which one of those weight losers or Weight Watchers are out there. They need to know about you because you've done a remarkable job of, first off, getting the weight off, but keeping it off. I know that's not easy. So your question was about Jaymar. Jaymar, basically, you've probably heard this story before. I went to watching another kid play. The Hopkinsville was playing in the game. And I saw him warm up in a warm-up line. It was intriguing. First half, he didn't play. I went over to his coach, Coach Hayworth, and asked him, how about the big boy? Coach said, he's going to be really good. I said, well, Coach, why don't he play? Well, Coach says, let me warm him up at halftime. Coach went out at halftime and kind of threw him some balls, and you watch him catch it, and you could see a lot of things. He had a lot of things you couldn't teach. He had good hands, and he was 7 feet 10. I don't know how much he weighed, probably 180 pounds, maybe. He was able to get in the second half for a few possessions. You could see him run. And for a big guy, it's all about projecting. Some of those things you can't teach. Some other things you got to project. And basically that night, we offered him, got him up the next night to a game, and him and I joke about it all the time. He told me that next night, Coach, don't worry about it. I'm coming to Western Kentucky. And that's what he did. He went off to junior college, and it was during COVID. We weren't able to get to see him much. And it's a challenge enough being in junior college as it is. And didn't know what to expect for sure from him. And he's been probably a more pleasant surprise than we was even hoping for. I really liked what he was in high school and junior college, but loved what he could be. But I think he came in doing some other things better than I anticipated. First off, he's a. If you guys hadn't dealt with him yet at all, he's a pleasant young man. He's got a big personality, a good personality. And basketball-wise, his feel for the game is probably better than we thought. His biggest weaknesses are things that only time's going to cure. He came in at 217 pounds. We got him up to 237 pounds, in August. And he's lost a few of those pounds, but it's about just getting some strength and some weight in him and, him getting some more endurance. But in the meantime, he probably went from 7 foot to, and we legitimately measured him at 7'5", not 7'3", but 7'5". And his greatest abilities, you can't teach that. You can't teach a big guy to run like he can run. He can really run. Just needs strength, more endurance from playing, but he's got a high ceiling, high ceiling.
Coach, what do you see out of Josh Anderson so far?
Well, the one thing I think Josh is doing much better is shooting basketball. I think that's better about him. He's a fifth-year guy now, and I know going through practice for him, it's not easy again. That's tough. Sometimes those experienced guys are just waiting to play a little bit. Well, we're going to make them work in practice. But if you ask me the biggest things about him, there's no question he's shooting the basketball better. And that's one thing about his game that we all know if he can improve on, makes him a much more versatile player.
With Josh, I guess, what was the timeline and the process like of figuring out, if he would be back this season?
Well, there really wasn't no timeline or being back. It's very obvious. Season's over. He took it pretty hard, and so we let him kind of make his own decision. The biggest thing that I knew that was very important to him and his mother, really important to his mother, maybe not as important to him right now as it will be down the road, is getting his degree. And if he'd left it'd probably been tough for him to still finish that degree. Once you get out and you got several hours to get it, gets difficult. So coming back was one of those things that I knew would help him in life, whether it's now or 20 years from now, was getting that degree. And he's on time to get that. And just from a playing standpoint, we all knew he needs to improve that shot, and he's done that. He missed all last spring and summer working on that because of COVID, and that affected him some too. So he's put in a lot more time, and he's better at it. Have a lot of confidence in him shooting the basketball.
This might be a question that's really early before the season's even starting, but people will look at Western Kentucky's record. They'll see regular season finishes have been strong. They don't make it to the conference championship. They just haven't gotten over that hump. So what is it going to take for Western to go from being that great team that makes it far to the tournament to actually winning the tournament? If you guys thought about that this early in the year.
Well, again, we all want to win a tournament every year. I don't base a good season, bad season on winning it though. It comes down to one play, one made free throw, one missed shot. And it's not one game, it's 3 games. You got to win 3 games. So it's not one game, it all gets magnified at the end. So, again, you wasn't here with us last year, were you? You wasn't here, so we all know what a fine line winning and losing is. It's a fine line. But again, that's always our goal. But, I won't always let a missed free throw or one missed shot dictate how good team we are.
I guess rotation-wise, I know it's early, but is there anything in your mind that tells you these are the guys that are going to start for me, or the way the bench works?
Well, I mean, it's early, but it's early that you're figuring out some things. And you guys know, I don't always start my best 5 players. I know you guys like to write about starting lineups and all that. Again, I don't always start my best team. I'll start different teams for different reasons, whether it's experience, whether it's rhythm or chemistry. But as I said earlier, I think the biggest thing that we do have is some depth. If one guy's not doing something right or not practicing right, I think he can look over his shoulder and see we got some flexibility and some versatility to some other guys. And that's always good to know as a coach. So, there's positions, obviously, that, that, Davion's really been good for us. And Luke's been really consistent shooting that basketball. And, I think that Jarius has gotten better, even though Jarius has missed a lot of the summer, and he missed, probably a couple weeks of this fall already. I think the last 2 weeks he's been back for the first time. He's really gotten himself in a rhythm. So, that's a plus. Butts has been really good for us, and Josh has been really consistent and playing. So, there's some guys that got some experience right there that we'll lean on early. But we got some other guys, too, and some other flexibility with that.
Coach, these 2 scrimmages, Hamilton and I believe Cumberland, I guess how much is the focus going to be in trying to figure out what you guys can do, and, what else are you hoping to get out of those 2 scrimmages for the regular season?
Well, we'll be up into some games trying to figure out still what you can do, what you can't do, and who's best together and who's not best together, and all those kind of things. And, it's just jobs as coaches to figure it out a little bit. These exhibitions are always good. It's good to play back in front of people. That's always different a little bit too. People play a little different, think a little different sometimes based on people in the stands. So you got to see who can, step between the lines and, separate all that. Keep your mind between the lines, and who can carry practice over those games. Then keep figuring out what guys can do. Can you change defenses a lot with this guy in the game? Those are things we got to be able to learn. Can this guy, can he really see that next play happen? Again, those are just things that we're learning with our bunch as we go, but the exhibition games are good just to play against somebody else for sure. As you all well know, we jump right into the fire. It's not like we're going to have some exhibitions and 4 or 5 cupcakes that you got a chance to, you don't figure it out while no matter how you play. We're jumping right into it right off the bat with those first few games.
Coach, I don't know if you've gotten a lot of time playing with this team, but have you gotten to get a chance to check out any 76ers games, see Charles score a couple of these first baskets?
I think it was the night before last he was on. I watched it last night. He was on too against the Knicks, and I didn't make it all the way to the end. He didn't get in the first half. Did he get in last night?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he scored one ball.
Okay, well, I didn't make it all the way to the end. Somebody turned my channel in my house for some reason. But we'll keep up with Charles, and hey, it's a great opportunity for him to be on that roster. And I really believe the more he plays, the more they get to know him as a person, as they start figuring out some things about him, I think he'll carve out a few minutes. Now he's got some pretty good players in front of him in Drummond and Abid. Those are two pretty good guys in front of him. So, but an injury here or there changes everything. So, but he'll handle that role, whatever it is.
Coach, we've talked about some of the changes in college sports. We talked about transfer portal last time. In terms of NIL, I guess what's it been like trying to navigate that? As a veteran coach, and have any of your guys had any deals in place or anything like that?
We've talked about our guys, and that's something that we as coaches we can't go out and create and all that. So I think it's probably a learning experience for everybody a little bit, and probably as you go on a little bit in the future, guys will understand a little bit more and how to make those kind of deals happen. So we haven't put a whole lot of talk into it right now, but guys who have those opportunities to go get those deals right now. And that's a good thing for them.
Coach, one of the big topics in college sports right now is realignment. Obviously, there's still a lot of questions in the air. I guess as a coach with some unknowns still, how do you navigate that and kind of try to keep your guys focused on the court?
I think you said the key word, unknowns. I learned a long time ago, don't worry about things you can't control. So, we all know we got great tradition here, and we got a great program, and it's a great university. So, we'll figure it out where's best for Western Kentucky to be. And but again, to answer your question, don't put a lot of thought into it right now. Got games coming up, got a team to coach. That'll take care of itself. And it changes. It changes year to year. Hey, you may be here this year and somewhere else next year. It's just a moving target. With all these leagues right now, it's going to keep moving too. It's not over. Who had it? He got me back here. He got me. Go ahead.
How has freshman guard Zion Harvey been like in practice so far?
Well, it's been an adjustment for him. There's a lot of things he's got to learn, and just in everything. Everything in, off the court, on the court, it's been a huge adjustment for him. And again, I know the COVID didn't help him at all. So, it's a learning experience, and everything we do, having to learn now defensively how to do some different things, offensively, little adjustment, playing with some different people. So, it's a learning curve for him, a big learning curve, on and off the court.
Coach, I know you talked about Luke some. It sounds like from what you said, you want to get him more shots this year because of what he did last year. Maybe. Is that the case? And if so, how do you do that?
Well, first off, playing more. I mean, as I said after season, as we knew our starting 1, 2s, and 3s made 44 threes between them. I think he came off the bench and made 55 in 20, 22 minutes a game. And again, you give or take a little bit with that, but I think there's one thing he does really special, and that's ability to make shots. And, I think when you have multiple guys that you feel like can make shots, it opens that lane up a little bit. Allows your guard to get in that lane and create shots for him. I think we got the ability to spread out a little bit. As I said, I think Davion McKnight, I think the game is slowing down for him a little bit. And as it continues to slow down, I got great confidence in his ability to find him. I think our team has great confidence in him. And as a coach, I got great confidence in him. He's a guy who may miss 3 or 4 in a row, but if he's open in that next shot and time and score presents itself, none of us will ever hesitate about Luke. And he's had a great summer and fall. Last year, It was a challenge for him when he came in here in August. He didn't come in here in a very good place. So it was a huge adjustment for him all the way through, a lot of that season. But he started this spring and summer in a great place. He's been in a great place, spring and summer, and it's carried over to his game.
Coach, last week, West Virginia University head coach Bob Huggins said that he thinks the major schools should go into a separate NCAA or a separate tournament. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we'll be one of those major schools and somebody playing us. Is he talking about playing Western not playing?
The major Power 5 schools should.
I don't know. We're 9-5 against Power 5. Hey, we beat West Virginia over in whatever in the last time we played them. You talking about West Kentucky playing against the best? Yeah, that's what we want to do. So what you're saying?
He says that they should have their own tournament separate from every other school. Like, they should drop out of the March Madness, basically.
Well, again, I don't know. I haven't heard much about that. But I think it's very obvious. We all know we have an opportunity against about anybody we play most times. We've done that. You knew here too, aren't you? You knew. We've had that opportunity pretty much everybody we've played. I don't remember who our 6 losses against. A couple of them in overtime against them. But we view ourselves as a power team in basketball that can compete against anybody. If that answered your question, I'm not for sure about that. Are you saying Power 5 leagues do their own tournament?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Oh, okay. Well, the NCAA runs the basketball tournament different than football. Football's kind of got their own deal. They got their own, Power 5 deal, BCS teams that can do that. But basketball, it's all under one umbrella. That gives everybody a pretty good opportunity. Does it make sense for them to do that and have them make more money? I guess. Depends on who runs it. The NCAA going to run it, or they're going to run their own tournaments. So I don't think that's happening anytime future, but who knows? With all the changes we got in college athletics right now, the leagues and the portal and the NIL, who knows what's around the corner for us.
One or two more, and we'll get players in for it.
Coach, I know you talked about wanting to play the best, and you guys jump right into the fire. Obviously, last year, I think Zach called it the Wild West of college basketball schedule on your talk, someone I talked to. This year, I guess, creating that schedule, what were the goals in place for you guys?
Well, Jared, our goal is always the same every year. Compete for championships, and the way you think you do that is play against the best. I think it helps prepare you guys, just not mentally, the way you practice and prepare when you know when you're going to play, kind of schedule we're going to play. That's number one. Number two, it just makes you better. We're not going to win them all. We're not going to win them all. We're going to go into every game expecting to win them. We're not going to win them all. The good thing about it, every Power 5 game we go into, and you new guys ain't been here, it won't take you long. You're going to start believing that we're supposed to win or got a chance to win. We're not just going into them thinking they're a Power 5 and we're going to take a L and leave, and we may get a L, but that's not the way it is. Power 5 games we go play, for the most part, we believe we got an opportunity and chance every time we get off that bus, no matter who it is. Again, like I said, we're not going to win them all, but that kind of competition makes you better.
Coach, how have you changed from the time you arrived to the time to now as the head coach? Still the same guy? Or?
Well, different guy is that first year. Remember, I think we had 3 players that arrived. So change there. I think I got a little bit more depth right now. I don't change. I haven't changed. But COVID made you have to adjust a little bit, for sure. COVID made you have to adjust a lot of things. How you coached your team, ability to practice. So that's every coach last year. We all had adjusted that, but nothing else has changed. My vision and what we do is the same. You can tell by my voice that we think that we can compete against the best. We won't try to play against the best. The schedule Zach put together, y'all know how challenging that is. One stat in this league, like I said, we're 9-6. The other 13 schools in the conference in 4 years have won a total of 9 games. The other 13 schools in 4 years have won a total of 9 games against the Power 5. We're 9-6 ourselves. So again, we haven't backed away from competition. I had one more question. It was you had a question, didn't you? Who raised their hand? Put it back down. You had one again. Go ahead. We done?
Am I good?